So as you can tell, my sister really loves to play violin. And that was a piece by Bach, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yes? Hello?
Hello?
Hi.
Oh, here.
Oh, sorry.
No, that's okay. Okay, stay on the phone, and if I hang up on you by accident, call back, okay? Hello?
Hello?
Hi.
Hi.
Who's this? Hello?
Yes?
Hi. This is Leslie.
Hi, Leslie.
Do you have a question or something you'd like to say?
Play really good.
Thank you.
Really well, thank you. She
Thank
did,
you
didn't
so
she?
I'm just saying this. It wasn't me. I'm saying this for Adora. She said thank you very much. So, do you like to listen to music?
Yeah.
Great. And so, have you heard music by Bach before?
Not really.
Cool. Great. I'm glad you like it. So I hope that maybe you can listen to some more violin or some Bach music in the future.
She's eligible for
and
prizes.
Since you called in, you're eligible to receive one of the prizes. I'm giving away my book, a copy of my book, Flying Fingers, and an Echo Smart Pen.
It's gonna
so
be
thank you very much for calling in. What's your name? Leslie Rodriguez. Great. Thank you very much. Thanks. Bye.
Thank you, Leslie. So you just need to press the speakerphone button.
Okay, great.
You'll
So-
be set.
You
We've
can
heard
say
from
anybody
our
call
first-
in. Yeah.
Our first call-in viewer, which is amazing, and anybody can call in, and anyone who really answers questions or calls in to leave a comment, as well as for those of you here in the theater, is eligible to receive a prize. Here comes another one. Hello?
Hi.
Hi. Do you have a question or a comment?
Well, I'm Mr. Alice Cruz's mom.
Great.
She's only 4 months old.
Okay. So, did you get to hear my sister playing violin?
Yes, I loved it. It was very nice.
Thank you very much.
And my daughter likes to read a lot of books also.
Wonderful. So,
She's 7 years old, but she's not here.
okay.
Okay.
So,
What's her child's name?
what is your child's name?
Now,
I'm sorry.
Misael.
Misael.
Misael,
Okay,
yeah.
great.
Sorry, do you mind writing?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
have the
perfect.
email
Thank you so very much for calling in.
You're welcome.
Great, thank you.
You can continue presentation.
Okay, so let's continue with the presentation. So you just heard from Adriana that sharing your emotions or telling a story doesn't necessarily have to be in the form of writing or in a story in words on paper or in your mouth. It can be through violin. So think about how that music made you feel, or what are some of the things that you thought. Kind of like I'm hoping that the music sort of took you on a little journey. And that's the wonderful thing about music. Whether you like listening to pop or classical or rock or rap or hip hop or whatever kind of music, country music, or I'm trying to think of all the genres of music here. A lot of music really takes you on a journey with lyrics or without lyrics. So music can be a wonderful way to get out your emotions. Those of you who play musical instruments or like to listen to music, this is an amazing way to tell your story. So what are different ways you tell stories? What are some of the things that you do? Do any of you, I know that some of you like to read, to write. Yes, how do you tell stories?
Well, I write a lot.
Writing a lot.
I actually try. I always write short stories.
Short stories.
on my
Yeah,
computer.
I really love short stories because they're very, versatile. You can do a lot with them. So you could write a short story, really practically anywhere as long as you have a paper and pencil. What are other ways you like to tell your stories? Does anyone here like to draw? Does anyone like to draw? I'm seeing some raised hands. So drawing is an amazing way to tell stories. What are some things that you like to draw? What do you usually draw?
I like to draw superheroes.
You like to draw superheroes. Woo! I don't have any muscles here, but I can still do a superhero pose. So when you draw superheroes, or maybe you draw princesses, or maybe you draw beautiful landscapes, or you might draw someone walking to a restaurant. There's all kinds of different stories that you could easily tell with drawing. And I remember I would draw the most wacky things. I would draw people who had bright blue faces. I should tell James Cameron I deserve the money from Avatar. But drawing allows you to tell so many stories. So drawing is one amazing way. Does anyone here like to build things? Maybe you put together different kinds of forts using various materials, or even if you do jewelry, like a friendship bracelet, kind of telling a story. A friendship, I see some raised hands. So what do you like to build? like to build rocket ships? What do you like to build?
I always make friendship bracelets.
Friendship bracelets to your friends? Wonderful. What do you like to build?
I like to swim.
You like to
Swim.
swim? Oh, swimming is a good thing to do. That's a good thing, right? Yes. So in this picture you can see here I think this is Legos that he's putting together. I don't know what that is. It looks like maybe some kind of fort or some kind of castle. So when you build things, a lot of times your imagination really goes with you. When my sister and I were younger, we had all these wooden blocks in a drawer. They were really thick, big wooden blocks. So we would we would have this big carpet in front of us, and we would just put together all these different houses, and then this would get our parents a little mad sometimes. We would take a marker and draw on the thin little wood pieces and make them into people, and we would set them along here. And sometimes we would take styrofoam, so like a styrofoam container, and we would turn that into another house or a lake or something like that. So we were very imaginative. We were also very destructive. We would try to wash Barbie's hair, and that didn't turn out so well, as some of you may know who've ever tried to do that. But building things, putting together worlds with your imagination, whether it's with wooden blocks or Legos or beads or bracelets, whatever you build, think of the story behind it. Speaking, I love to speak. I love to get on a stage and tell people what I think. That's really how I got started, was by speaking. I would go to these schools and tell people, hey, reading and writing is amazing. And later I started speaking at bigger stages, and really whatever stage I speak at, whether it's really super huge or a little smaller, then I enjoy hearing from my audience. That's why I've been asking you guys so many questions, because I really love learning from you guys and hearing what you do. And I want to tell you a story of somebody who was in the hospital for a long time, but he ended up turning something that you might think, oh, not so great. He was born with something that made his bones fracture a lot. So he's on the short side, but he's spoken at so many places. He actually ended up being, he was an aide to someone in Congress, and he got to meet Bill Clinton and Tony Robbins, lots of famous people, and I got to meet him actually in person. It was really incredible to see
His
how
name?
he turned, Sean Stevenson. He's actually pretty well known now. How he turned something you might think, okay, pretty negative, that you would get things in your bones fracturing, but he turned that into something amazing. He would go and speak and motivate people all around the world to do great things.
What made
So
somebody's
he's very
friend getting
inspirational.
married?
And actually, what's really funny was when we were sitting on the plane, the person sitting next to my sister was the best friend of the lady who's now getting married to him. So that was a really fun coincidence that we got to meet him and then got to meet a friend. So that was pretty cool. So you see how you can turn something that you might think, okay, not so great, not really planned for, into something very positive. Drawing, I remember I asked you if you like to draw. Drawing is a great way to tell stories.
Yeah.
And so if you draw rocket ships or if you draw castles, whatever you draw, it can be a really wonderful mode. Does anyone here like to dance? Do you sometimes do little circles, twirl around? I can't dance very well. But, what kind of music do you like to dance to? Do you dance to music, or do you just dance around whenever you feel like it?
I like to dance to like funny music.
Okay.
Funny music.
Funny
on the
music?
radio.
I like funny music too, so music that's on the radio. Sometimes my sister will make a lot of fun of me for this, but especially after I've maybe eaten like a chocolate bar or something, or that something with too much sugar, I'm going to be going around the kitchen going like this, really, I know, she's giving me this look that's like, what are you doing with your life here? And if I have to work off some extra energy, I'll just hop around and act pretty crazy. So dancing is a wonderful way either to work off energy or to look very graceful and beautiful. I'm not so good at that part. Or just to have a great time. Music. I asked you, do you play musical instruments? Another great way to tell a story. Has anyone here ever tried to make your own song or to write your own? Yes, you have? Oh my goodness, that is something that I've never tried. I don't think my sister's tried it too many times. So did you write music or lyrics, or how did you go about doing it?
Music on the piano.
So you made music on the piano? It didn't work. But what happens sometimes is I've heard people try to improvise, and sometimes it can end up, when I was playing piano and I would try to make my own music, I would always start with chords, so it would end up going like do do do. So it would be extremely awesome sounding. But that's the thing with trying again and again
Yeah.
until you get it right. And not be too perfectionist. Another great story of someone who turned an unexpected hospital visit into something amazing. Probably your parents will recognize her more than you guys, but Joni Mitchell actually found her voice. She started singing when she was in the hospital, and she was very sad. She was like, I might not be able to go home before Christmas. And so she was very stubborn. She's like, no, I'm going home for Christmas. And she started singing Christmas carols all around the hospital. And this is actually what motivated her to start singing when she was 9. And she would sing Christmas carols so loudly, actually some people started to complain. So it's kind of amazing, these things that you find. Writing. I know that a lot of you like to write or to hear stories, to tell your stories. This is what I really love to do. As you can see on the document camera, I wrote this book, Dancing Fingers, but also I want to tell you a little more about my book, Flying Fingers, which is 9 short stories. And so this, I call it Master the Tools of Learning through the joy of writing, because I really believe that writing, you can get a lot of joy from writing. And so let me find one where I can show you a little bit of it. As you can see, I really like to use big words. I put this vocabulary list on the front of my stories, not because I didn't write these starting out saying I'm going to teach these words, but I just really love to, as I was 7 when I started writing these short stories, then I would learn all these words and say, oh, sorry, is it not focusing too well?
How's that?
Probably, that looks a little better. So, okay, what are some of your favorite words? Does anyone have some favorite words?
That's better.
Favorite words? Maybe words you like the sound of?
Big.
Big. That's a great word. You sometimes it's the only word that will do when you look at something. You don't want to say, oh, that's vast. It doesn't quite make sense, but sometimes when you look up a sign, you're just going to go like, wow. That's big. So big is a wonderful word. You can use it a lot. I like a word that's not quite big, but very close to big. Has anyone here heard the word Brobdingnagian? I'm hoping I'm saying that right. A snake is a great word. Some people get very scared if you just mention it because it'll make them come in the right. So my favorite word for the time being, before I learn a new one, is Brobdingnagian. Does anyone want to guess what that means? Brobdingnagian. Any guesses? Well, think about how long the word is. What might be a definition that would make sense for how long and big the word is? Broad, maybe? Well, Brobdingnagian. I think it's Nagian. Brobdingnagian means extremely large. So it makes sense how big the word is, but that's not actually, they didn't just randomly say, hey, we need a word that means extremely large. We're just going to make up a word that's extremely large. It actually comes from a book called Gulliver's Travels. Has anyone here ever read Gulliver's Travels or maybe heard about it? See some raised hands. So in Gulliver's Travels, there's a place called Brobdingnag, and I believe that that's where everybody is big. So that's where Brobdingnagian comes about. So you see how stories, not only can we use really big words that we like, sometimes something that you write about could make a word appear in the English dictionary. So that's the kind of amazing thing about the influence of writing. And so I was inspired to write these stories a lot of times by images I saw or stories that I read. So for instance, in this one, The Realm of Possibilities, it's all about this girl who decides, I don't like just being stuck in the castle, I'm going to run away and help save my little village. And so she does that, and the way that she does it is kind of unusual. But I won't say more. It's a little bit funny. The ending is a bit of a surprise. But I just use all these different vocabulary words that I really like. And writing is my favorite way to tell stories. And actually, Treasure Island. Robert Louis Stevenson wrote Treasure Island, Kidnapped, lots of different stories that are very famous. And he was actually, when he was little, then he lived in a really damp house, so he had a cough most of the time. He wasn't able to go to school sometimes. But during those times, he would write and write and write, and so his compulsive writing really started when he was little. And you see how there's no age limit to getting started telling your stories. So, now let's talk about our stories. What kinds of stories do you like? Do you like funny stories? Do you like scary stories? Yes.
I like scary stories.
Scary stories. Oh my goodness. Again, I am in awe of you because I cannot read. I will read non-scary stories and I can get scared by the slightest mention of anything I don't know about. So, I get scared easily. You like scary stories too? Great. You guys are much braver than I am. I will get scared by anything.
I love scary stories.
Scary stories.
Sometimes
You like princess stories. You like princess stories
Belle.
about Belle? Very nice. So, and that's why you're dressed like a princess today?
I like scary movies.
You like scary movies. Oh my goodness. Your scary books are one thing.
movies.
Scary movies?
I like, you know, like, I like music, books how you can travel.
Books where you can travel. You know, that's one of my favorite things. One of my early favorite books was this one. I think it was like Kids Around the World or something. It had all these pictures of these kids from different countries, and some of them were wearing like the most amazing hats, and others had interesting costumes, and others ate really different kinds of food. So it was an amazing way by seeing the lives of other kids around the world for me to learn about the world. So I love seeing pictures and reading about different places, even imaginary places. So travel books, books about different places are amazing. So one thing that you might have noticed, and this is sort of a big word here, sorry, but what makes stories exciting? What do you think makes stories exciting when you read them?
Not knowing.
Not knowing. Yeah. The anticipation. When you read a story, does the author put on the first page, the mouse in the story really likes cheese, but he can't find the cheese. Well, now he's found the cheese. The end. Is that usually how stories go?
That's one short story.
That would be a very short story. Honestly, though, I wrote stories like that for quite a long time before I realized that, hey, the reason that I really like to read books is sometimes because I don't know what happens on the very first page. And the reason that maybe we like reading stories where we don't know everything that happens is because if we don't know, then we keep reading to find out. We just have to know. And that's in the stories you might like to read. You want to find out, does the princess get rescued? Or does this person manage to make it up into space? Does the mouse manage to get to the cheese? That was one I made up. I'm sure there's a story like that, though. In order to be interesting, most stories have a difficulty somewhere. So the princess is locked in a castle, to be kind of stereotypical here. Or this dragon is threatening the village. Again, sort of fantasy theme. So there's difficulties in stories just like there's difficulties in life. And, you know, we've all faced things. So for instance, for me, this is a very small one, but we get it sometimes when we're traveling. My mom always tends to be late to things. One time we were late, sorry Mom, one time we were late to one very important thing, catching our bus back from New York to Philadelphia. So we run and we run and we run, and it's left 5 minutes earlier. So we have to figure out, so where do we go now? We've already taken like 5 taxis from here to there because we got where it was wrong. So this is obviously a big difficulty for us. So we're like, let's go to the train station, and we managed to get on the train finally, and it's all fine. So you might think, well, that happens probably to lots of people. That's not very interesting. But when you write, you can make things sound very interesting. You can write about how you felt. You can write as though you're running in slow motion. You can make even something really simple become very suspenseful. And you can write stories based on your own memories. So think about times you were super happy, excited, or maybe times where you were like, I feel really sad today. Or any time in between, and think, how could I make that into a story? How could I tell a story? So think of your favorite memories and say, do I think that I would like to tell this? And when you're writing it, you know, you don't put in the first sentence, today I was happy because, or you could actually put in the first sentence, today I was happy because, but you might also say, instead of just saying today I was happy and leaving it at that, you would want to expand. You'd want to say today I was happy because of this. Today I was happy and I looked around and, you know, describe some things. So this is how you get beyond your first sentence. You think, what can I add? So instead of just saying today I was happy, explain, add details. And this is really something when you read books, you know, it's not usually just one sentence, say I was happy. People add details and share why. So when you want to tell a story but you're not sure what should I write about, you can think, okay, what's a time I was super excited or happy? Maybe because you got to, I don't know, like, I know that you guys were sorting beads back there. What was that for, the beads?
I think they got a present from someone. Is that what the beads were for? What were they?
That was a donation.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So sorting out beads, and maybe you felt really good about helping, because you were volunteering, and so that was very nice to help sort them out. So you could write about, I felt really happy because I helped out. So we want to hear more about, why, what, when, where. Add details. Make it colorful. Use your imagination, because when you create stories, you can really go anywhere. Where do you think stories come from? Where do you get your ideas? When you're drawing, or when you're building something, or writing, where do your ideas usually come from?
Your brain.
Your brain! Yes, that's a very, very good point. Your ideas do come from your brain. So when you have ideas in your brain, where do you usually get those ideas? So you have ideas in your brain. Do you get them from looking at pictures, maybe? Does anyone here get ideas from looking at pictures? Do you ever, so if you look at maybe a photograph and you think, I wonder who this person is or what they're thinking. I went to the art museum one time, and the other day, and I was looking at a portrait and I was thinking, this might be a good inspiration for a story. I could write about, what is this person thinking? Where are they? What are they doing? So sometimes even looking at a very simple thing, like a picture. Where are some other places we might get our ideas? Yes?
When we're interested in something.
When we're very interested in something, yes. What are your favorite things to learn about? Does anyone here have a favorite thing that they like to do? Yes.
Science.
Science. You really like science. So how could you be inspired by science? What's something you could do with science? Well, maybe you could write a story about a scientist who really, really wants to discover some kind of thing that will make I don't know, what's something that would be really cool. Okay, wants to discover something that will make everyone super happy for a day. So you could write about a scientist trying to discover something. What are some other topics that you're super interested in? Yes?
Math.
Math. Great. So how might you write a story having to do with math or inspired by math? Any ideas?
You write?
You could even go really, really wild. You could say, I want to write a story as though I were a plus sign. What would life be like if you were a plus sign?
Happy.
It would be happy because you add things, so you're like, everything gets bigger, everything gets better. That would be very funny. What are some topics you like? What do you like?
Well, I like to rock climb.
You like to rock climb. Great. So you've rock climbed before, so you could write about. I don't know very much about what it's like to rock climb because I've only done it a couple times, like in REI or something. So I'm not sure about how does it feel to get up to the top because
I went
usually.
to the top before, and you just have to climb.
Yep.
And when you're to the top, you're on the top.
Yes. That is a very, you could use that as a sentence in a story right there. When you're on the top, you're on the top. I like the sound of that. And you describe how your hands feel, how good you feel at the top, and how far it is down. You could say all these things in your story. You could write about what it's like to rock climb. Let's go one more thing. What is a topic you are super interested in that you could maybe write a story about? What are you interested in?
I like to play piano.
Oh, you like to play piano. Very good. So, what do you think? Maybe you could write a story about that? Yes, you could.
Too.
And ballet. And you said you like princesses? So you could write a very good story about all of those things.
And I like drums.
And you like drums. Drums. This would be a great one for a poem. I mentioned earlier that I had that 2-line poem about a drum. Well, you could write an even better one, I am sure. Maybe you could write one about a boy who drums so loudly it wakes up the entire neighborhood, and what you do after that. I'm not sure how you would solve that problem, but it might be a funny poem or a story. So we know that we can get stories from all over. Some people say, write what you know. What do you think that means? Well, write what you know essentially means, write what you know about. Do you think this is always true?
No.
Probably not, because there's lots of things that I don't know about. I didn't live back in medieval times in a village. I wouldn't know what it's like to fight a dragon or to I'm trying to think of some other situations. I wouldn't know what it was like to live in ancient Egypt and try to figure out how to cast a spell. I don't really know any of that, but I would write about it anyway because really, I think you can write about anywhere that you can go with your imagination. You can write about people in other places or from the past. That's why I really love to write about ancient Egypt. I wrote a story. And you don't just have to stick with people. Animals are amazing for inspiration too.
I like giraffes.
You like giraffes, right? I think this is what? Anyone know what this animal is? The stripe? A zebra. A zebra. What does a zebra look like? Does anyone know what a zebra looks like? White with black stripes? Is it really big or really small or somewhere in the middle?
Raise your hand then. Raise your hand.
Yes.
It's real big, and it has white stripes and black stripes.
It has white stripes and black stripes. Very good, as you can see from here. Very colorful. So the great thing about animals is that we can get a lot of ideas from how they look or how they move. How does a snake move? Does anyone know how a snake moves? It slithers. Don't you like the sound of slither? Isn't that a cool word? Slither. So you like the what of the snakes? You like the sound of the snakes. What kind of sound does a snake make? So a snake hisses as it slithers. That is a very hard sentence to say. It's a big tongue twister. So we can get inspiration of how animals sound, how they move, what they look like. And that's what we're going to do right now. Let's write. I have a few stuffed animals here on the document camera. Does anyone know what this is? I might have to zoom out a little bit. Let's see. It's a stingray. Yep, this is a stingray. So it goes through the water. And if you feel a stingray, I felt probably not this dangerous, but I felt a stingray once at an aquarium, and it was very kind of slimy. So it's an interesting feeling. Does anyone know what this is?
A hammerhead shark.
A shark? A hammerhead shark. Yeah. Does anyone know why it would be called a hammerhead? Its head looks like a hammer. Yes, that's right. You can imagine kind of like if you're tapping a nail. I'm not doing this to the poor shark, but the head looks like a hammer. So we have a stingray. We have a shark. Now, as I'm looking through these stuffed animals, I want you to start thinking, how could we write a story about these animals? How do you think we could write a story about these animals? Do you think these animals are friends, or do you think they fight all the time? Do you think that they live in the ocean, or are they in an aquarium, or does someone have them as a pet? That would be kind of a dangerous pet, a hammerhead shark, to say the least. And here we have, this is another shark, it looks like, I think, from the teeth. Not quite the same kind of shark, but a shark nevertheless. And finally, we have one that doesn't quite belong in the ocean. This one does not quite look like an ocean animal. It looks like a bear. Yeah, a teddy bear. There's actually two, right? We have a pink one here. So we have a lot of animals. So maybe these can be our characters. Does anyone know what characters are in stories? What are characters?
There are movies.
They're the people that the story are about.
Yes. Characters are the people in the story. They're the people or animals that the story is about. So, who is a favorite character in a book of yours? Yes?
Sharks.
Sharks? Okay, so you've read a book about sharks. What are other favorite characters?
My favorite character is a shark.
What's your shark? What's your favorite character? And a book.
Fancy Nancy.
Okay, Nancy. Great. Yes? Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Yeah. Okay, you like to read. So think of a book and what's your favorite character in it?
Tweety.
Oh, Tweety. Great. Yes?
Who's your favorite character?
Belle.
Belle, of course. Yep, go ahead. Sorry. Actually, yeah.
A girl named Jen in a book called Among the Hidden.
Among the Hidden, a girl called Jen. Okay, great. That sounds like a good book. So, your favorite characters. Think about your favorite characters. What makes them your favorite characters? So, if you think about, are they really smart? Are they adventurous? Are they brave? What makes them really interesting to you? So now we're going to write a bit. We're going to create our own characters here. So we're going to choose a few of these to be our characters. So we wouldn't want to be our main character. So the main character is the person who the book is mostly, or the story is mostly about. So if you think about your favorite book or your favorite character, the main character is the one who most of the writing's about. So let's look here. Who do you think would make the best main character? The stingray, the hammerhead shark, the pink teddy bear, the black teddy bear, or the blue shark here?
The hammerhead.
So you're saying shark? Which shark? You have two options here.
Hammerhead. The blue one. Hammerhead.
Okay, raise your hand for the hammerhead. Raise your hand if you like the hammerhead. Okay, raise your hand if you like the blue shark. It looks like the hammerhead has won. The hammerhead has a very powerful head after all. I don't know how big the brain is in there, but it does have quite a nice view here. It looks like eyes on the other side. So, hammerhead shark will be our main character. Now, what are we going to name the hammerhead shark?
I like both of them.
Sally? Okay, so our hammerhead main character shark is named Sally. Let me just
I like both of them.
Sally the hammerhead. I love it.
oops. I need to get into the
Harry.
there's word here. So I'm going to start typing this up. We're going to write a story together on the board, and we know our main character is Sally the hammerhead shark. But we also need to think about a setting. Where is this and when is this? Okay, so Sally the hammerhead shark is our main character. I need to make this a little bigger so it's easier to see. So, where do you think this is? Is it an aquarium? Is it in the ocean? Is it in somebody's house?
Ocean.
Okay, it's in the ocean. So this is what we call our setting, where the story is. And this is the ocean. Okay, great. So what do you think is going on here? What are we writing about? So we know Sally is the main character. Does she have a friend? Does she have someone that she's getting into a bit of trouble with? Let's look at our characters here. We can choose, let's say, 2 or 3 more. Okay, so who should Sally's friend be? Does Sally have a friend here?
The stingray.
The stingray. Okay, so let's say the stingray is Sally's best friend. And what is the stingray called? Anyone have a clue as to what the stingray might be called? Go ahead.
Perry.
Never mind.
Okay. Anyone else idea for what the stingray should be called? Go ahead.
Perry.
Perry. Okay, Perry the stingray.
Good name.
Very nice. Oops. Stingray, that would be a different. I don't think that animal exists. I think it would be a whole lot thinner, probably, in the string. That would be interesting. Okay, so Sally the hammerhead shark, Perry the stingray, and let's have one more character. It's between the blue shark, the pink teddy bear, or the black teddy bear.
The pink teddy bear.
Pink teddy bear. Shark.
Let's raise your hand for the shark.
Shark.
Okay, let's raise your hand for the pink teddy bear. You can't vote twice. No voting twice. Or raise your hand for the black teddy bear.
Pink teddy bear.
Okay, so it looks like, is it the blue shark that's won?
No, the pink teddy bear.
Raise your hand for the pink teddy bear. Sorry to do this again.
No. Me.
Okay, it looks like the blue shark won, I'm pretty sure. Okay, so the blue shark, what should the blue shark be called?
Mom. Nick.
Nick the blue shark. Okay,
Ew.
let me,
Nick.
so, and Nick the blue shark. So what is his role here? Is he a friend? Is he not so friendly? What is going on here?
He's friendly.
He's not so friendly.
Not so friendly. So what do you think, why might we want to have someone who's not so friendly?
Make it exciting.
To make it exciting. So if we have someone who's maybe not so friendly, then we have a bit of a problem. And the reason that we might want to have a problem in our story is so that it's something that the characters have to work. We have to work in order to get out of a problem. So maybe they can all become friends, or they can decide here's how we're going to deal with this problem we have that Nick the blue shark is not so friendly. So maybe they're going to try and figure out, how can we get him to be friends with us, or he's going to figure out that there are consequences to not being so friendly. Okay, so we have our characters, we have our setting, it's the ocean. Now, how should we start? When is it? Is it a really nice day in the ocean, or is it not so great?
Not so great. Not so great.
Okay, not so great. So what do you think a not so great day in the ocean would look like?
Oh, there are a lot of waves.
Lots of waves. It's dark. What else?
At night.
It's at night. Okay, so it's stormy, windy, lots of waves, dark, at night. What is any other descriptive words we could use? Yes?
Windy. He always has
What's the taste?
Go ahead.
a beautiful day in the ocean.
Yeah.
Well, maybe. So right now we have a description of what looks like a pretty bad day in the ocean. But maybe the next day will be beautiful from something they do. Yes?
Wind.
Lots of wind. Okay, so we have stormy, windy.
I got it.
Okay. Well,
There's oil in the ocean.
oh, maybe there's some oil in the ocean. Okay. So that's a
Good one.
So now we have kind of two problems here. So they don't like, it's very dark, it's very stormy, there's oil, it's not a good setting, and it's dark, and there's a not very friendly shark. So how do you think they're going to solve these problems? Let's start writing and see. So I'm going to describe, let's start with a little description. The waves, I'm kind of revising as I'm going. That's another thing with writing. You don't get it perfect the first time, or even the second time. You always go back and you might change things, revise.
Just wanted to remind everyone upstairs that you can be answering these questions. The number is 3218. So you're part of telling our story too, okay? Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Please.
But
Actually, I was going to see what the number was. 3128. You can help us write this.
3218.
3218.
I just 3218.
Thank you.
3218. Sorry about that. 3218. I can.
Very
Might as well put it
good.
up there. Okay. So it's stormy. Let's describe this. So it was a dark and. That sounds familiar. Actually, it was a dark and stormy. I think let's try to be very original here. The waves, or maybe I'm sorry. Okay. Sally the hammerhead shark swam hard through, swam energetically. See, the thing is,
She struggled.
Yes.
She struggled to swim through the oil.
struggled to swim through the
Strangely
thick,
dark water.
thick black
Oil.
water.
Great.
Oil, gooey oil
Gooey.
to
Good word.
the sides of her head. Okay, so you know how see if you're like struggling really hard through the ocean, maybe you might get some here and there. So it would be very hard if you can imagine, fighting through something, it's a bit gooey.
And that's where her eyes are.